All right. Hey, good morning. It's the Morning Mastery with Spencer Caldwell. Thank you for joining us. Super excited to have a good friend of mine on the line, Tori Adair. Just a little bit about Tori. I thought about having this call with him this morning once we visited with David Fagan yesterday. David Fagan and I went over, what we should do as far as goals and kind of my perspective on goals and his perspective. If you haven't listened to it, make sure you go back to YouTube, my YouTube channel, and listen to that call. Especially with the New Year's coming up, you're going to want to focus a little bit on this call, maybe a lot of it. So anyways, the last principle that he taught us was having an accountability partner. And I couldn't think of anyone better than my favorite wingman, Tori Adair, that's on the line. Let me tell you a little bit about Tori. Tori and I have been doing Ironmans together for the last 15 years. I've done a half Ironman for the last 15 years. I've thrown only 2 fulls in there. And Tori has been my most consistent training partner. He's the friend that everyone wants in the training world of endurance athletes. I can call him any time of the day, whether it's noon at 110, 115 degrees or 11 o'clock at night. I mean, this guy is he's just always super accessible, and I really appreciate that about you, Tori, as far as a training partner. And that's someone that you need in life when you're training for an Ironman. And it's not like doing a half Ironman for me is something like, that if you have consistency, and we've been talking about this for the last few weeks, and you just, how do you eat an elephant? It's one bite at a time, and you just do something physical at least every other day, and hopefully every day, you can do a half Ironman pretty easily. It's not, everyone thinks, oh, you do a half Ironman for the last 10 years or 15 years. That's crazy. Well, it's really not if you just do a little bit and stay consistent every day. But that being said, Tori Adair on the line, I want him to speak to you a little bit about accountability and just how he holds himself accountable to basically wake up and show up every day and hit the road, whether it's swimming or on the bike or running. So, Tori, what can you tell us about accountability?
Thank you for all the compliments, Spencer. So I'll start simple. I think the easiest way to hold yourself accountable, if we're talking about personal accountability, is to track what it is you're trying to hold yourself accountable for. So, keeping an accurate and consistent record. And that's the boring and the easy answer. I think the more interesting answer and the deeper, at least for me, is trying to train your interests, train your desires to match what you want to accomplish. I believe that willpower, especially for me, is a lot weaker than I would like it to be. I had somebody, a personal consultant, maybe 20 years ago, tell me I was a very disciplined person. And I thought my first reaction was, this guy doesn't know me. He's trying to butter me up, because I actually feel like I lack willpower. I've never been one to be able to just will myself to do whatever I wanted to do. So if I'm going to show up in the morning to run, and by the way, I've never really liked running, I like the results I get from it, or biking, or swimming, or lifting weights, or whatever kind of exercise. So I can't depend on my willpower to make me get up in the morning and do that every day. I falter and fade, and I can't even allow my goal setting. I'm not a person to set the goal, and so determined, stubborn that just setting it and putting it on paper is going to work for me. So I have to encourage myself through multiple other ways. You mentioned that I was flexible in the daytime to go out and exercise, or join you for a swim or hike or bike or run or whatever. And I do that not because my days are wide open, but because I consider if I do it, you'll do it for me, or possibly. And that I need that companionship in my exercise, because it makes it a lot easier. If I tell you I'm going to be there at 6 in the morning or 5 in the morning, I'm more, 10 times more likely to be there than if I just set it as a goal for myself and nobody else is doing it with me. So I found that making somebody an accountability partner by just assuming that they are and joining them in their goal if I have a goal to do an Ironman race, I oftentimes won't do the one I want to do. I'll do the one that you pick or somebody else picks, because I know that if they pick it, I've got somebody to train with. And I'm much more likely to do my training if I'm doing it with someone else. So anyway, those are a couple of keys for me. And I don't feel like I'm that consistent, but I do look back, and you and I were talked about this when you asked me to join in this phone call, and I counted because I still got the medals on my wall. I've done more than 20 half Ironmans and 5 fulls. So I've done more than 25 Ironman events in 15 years that we've known each other. I didn't even realize it was so consistent, and among those is more than a dozen marathons and other events, long bike rides, long relay runs, those type of fun things. But I come back to the basics, having an accountability coach, training your desires. When I mean training your desires, I mean listening to an audiobook on somebody else that did an Ironman and their experience. Because if you're listening to them, you're more likely to find some things that motivated them that keep add to your motivation. Anyway, that's probably enough to start with. Let me stop and see if you have any questions.
I appreciate it. I really, really appreciate that. Let me do this. For some reason, I can't hear very good. I don't know if you're in your earpiece or are you on your speaker? I'm
using some AirPod Pros. Let me switch to the regular phone and see if that's any better.
Yeah, and just put it on speakerphone. We'll hear you a little bit better. For some reason.
Is that any better?
Oh, yeah, that's better. Good. I appreciate it. No, it's perfect. So I want to dig into 2 things that you talked about a little bit. So first off, 20 Ironmans, holy cow, and probably a dozen marathons within that with the last 20 years. And, that's just, to me, that's just amazing. And when you look back and say, oh, man, I've accomplished that, it seems really, really cool. But it's just really having that daily habit of just waking up and showing up and doing a little bit of exercise sometime in the morning. And you said, if you have a friend or someone that, for me personally, if I'm a social workout guy, I'm not going to go ride my bike or run or swim unless there's someone there with me. So you said, if I text and commit at night that, hey, I'll see you there at 6 in the morning, I'm like 99% more likely to get up and do that because I've committed and someone's depending on me. And if I'm depending on myself, I'm going to be the first to admit that I've walked out to the curb where we kind of meet as a little bit of a running group, and if no one's there, I'll go back home and crawl in bed. I've done that a few times, just because I've got to be with someone to do it. I just kind of depend on someone. So when you mentioned one thing, you said tracking. Can you talk to us a little bit more about tracking? What were you talking about there? You mentioned it at the beginning of the call as far as, I don't know what, I want you just to get into that a little bit more as far as tracking.
Yeah. So, I worked for a company way back in the early 90s called Franklin Covey. I don't know if you guys ever remember Franklin Planner. It was popular for a while before iPhones and online planners took over and you didn't need that anymore. But back in the day, I got used to using a paper planner, and I gave that up when I went to my computer and phone planner, but I still kept the paper. So even today, I still have a weekly planner, and it's a week at a glance type of thing, but I write in that week what I want to accomplish. I don't use it as my planner anymore. I haven't for a long time. I don't use it as a goal-setting tool necessarily. I use it as a tracking tool. So each day I write down every day what exercise I did for the day, and I add it up throughout the week. And I have a kind of a set goal for what I think is what I should be keeping up on. I've even got a point program. I give myself 1 point for every mile run, 1 point, 1 point for every 5 miles bike, 1 point for a quarter mile swim, and I have a point system to kind of say, hey, like I want to do 60 points this week. I'm building up for this event. I think I need to do this much per week to be able to be capable of handling the distance in that. So I set my goals very loosely because I like to have some flexibility. I don't have great willpower, and I don't like my attention to detail is not what a lot of other people are. So I've learned to kind of have a little bit of a loose structure, but enough that it holds me accountable, and I know exactly how much I ran for the week and for the month and for the year. And for 20 years, I can tell you exactly how many miles I've run, bike, swam, lifted weights, or whatever I've done for those years, each day and each week.
Nice. That's cool. So tracking, you'll find that super successful people in life and business, and that they basically they have these tracking systems, and they track everything down. Some of these people down to the minute as far as scheduled within the day of tracking. So that's definitely something I can put more focus on for success is tracking. Another thing that you talked about a little bit that I want to dive into a little bit more is you said training your desire. Training your desire. So sometimes I just don't have the desire. I honestly just don't have the desire to get up in the morning and work out. Not even like one little bit. It's just not there. So the thing that like even weather changes from like warm to cold. Like you're just used to working out in the warm and hitting the road when it's warm, and then it goes cold, and you're like, I just don't want to deal with the layers of clothes. I don't want to deal with the cold. So one thing that changes my desire and how I have trained my desire is I actually have, if I just don't have it, I have to pray for it. Like, honestly, I just have to pray. Like, give me desire to want to. I want to do it, but I just don't have the desire. Anyway, so praying for the desire. So talk to me a little bit about that. You said that training your desire. Dig in there a little bit more for me.
Okay, and that's obviously a good thing that's worked for you, and you include it in your prayers because they're obviously regular habits for you. You bring it up, but for me, it's very simple. If I know that you're passionate about running a marathon and I want to run a marathon, I'm going to try to hook up with somebody who's passionate about it. If I may listen to an audiobook about somebody who's run a lot of marathons and is passionate about running, their life was about running. I have my Audible account up in front of me here, and I think about when I was trying to train for my last marathon, I really don't like running. So I listened to a book, My Life on the Run, by a guy who wrote for a running magazine for 30 years, or editor. And so I look at things like that, and when you listen to somebody who's passionate about it, you find some interest in it. And so I kind of have to create my interest. It's not there already. I'm not one that was, I've created a passion for cycling, but it wasn't there before. I was never a cyclist until I needed to become one in order to accomplish my goal to do an Ironman. So I think in a lot of ways, I'm not that self-driven. I've just had to figure out how to find people that are driven, find people that are very stubborn and motivated, and attach myself to them or listen to them in their audiobook, their blog, their webcast on mastering the entrepreneurial businesses so that I'm better at my own. And I think we can kind of borrow that from other people and don't have to have all the skills in the world to be successful and do extraordinary things.
That's cool. That's really cool. Thank you for covering those few things. I really liked how you said hook up with someone else's passion because that will help you find interest in that passion and attach yourself to them. So, I mean, just those life principles and business principles, that's really, really amazing. So I have a question for you. Why, if you don't like running, then why do you do it?
I've always kind of been, as a kid, I was kind of one of those ADD kids bouncing off the wall that had more energy than I knew what to do with. Couldn't sit still and write a paper or work on a computer or, sit in long meetings. And I found when I exercised in the morning, I could sit for meetings and I could sit in front of a computer and I could focus longer. And so exercise helped calm my body and clear my mind. And so I knew it was good for me. I didn't want to do it, but I knew I needed to do it. And, I got a master's degree and a doctorate degree and worked in corporate America for a lot of years and sat through a lot of meetings and sat in front of a computer. I found it very hard to be in an office, very painful. And so if I got up and ran or biked, did something that was hard like that in the morning, my body was much calmer. It was easier for me to sit and to make it through a day. And maybe I could even stop in the middle of the day and go exercise and come back to work. So I would go running at lunchtime. And like I said, I didn't like running. I liked the result I got from being able to stay focused and clear my mind and work through problems. I'm one of those people also that have a little bit obsessive. My mind runs and I can't hardly stop it from thinking about something until I've kind of figured it out. And that's not necessarily good if you've got other things to do. If you're mad about an interaction you have and you're thinking through that interaction, sometimes going for a run and I could kind of calm down about it and get back to doing other things I needed to do in that afternoon, focus on the meetings and the tasks at hand. So for me, it was very healthy for a lot of reasons. And so because it was healthy, I wanted to make myself do it. But again, I don't have the willpower. Not enough to make myself do everything I want to do. So if I can find somebody who loves to run and run with them, then it kind of catches on.
That's awesome. So I'm sure everyone can relate to what you just covered, because just think about it. How many times in life do we do something and we don't really like it, but we like the results it gives us? And that's just part of waking up and showing up and just making it happen every day. A lot of times we just want to sleep in. A lot of times we don't want to do it. A lot of times we're kicking against the pricks and we're like, this sucks. But guess what? We love the results. That's why we do it, and that's why you run. I like that. You don't like to run, but you like the results, and so you just do it. It clears your body. It calms your mind, and it helps you. It just helps you with life. It makes you more productive throughout the day. So really, really cool stuff. Tori, thank you so much. I really appreciate you giving me 15 minutes this morning. You said some things that just really, really will help me out throughout my day today. And thank you so much for being the best wingman in the world and just being part of my life and hitting the road in the mornings. It means the world to me. Thank you so much, Tori. I appreciate you.
Of course, man. Love you too. Have a great day.
Hey, take care, guys. Make it a great day. We'll see you guys.